How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. This week is one of the biggest weeks, probably the biggest week of the quarter for crypto and for the stock market. We have a lot of big earnings. We have a huge FOMC meeting. We're going to go through expectations for that. And we have to go through how the market's doing right now, including cryptocurrency. There are some cryptos that are moving right now, and some clown news. There's some clown news that Sam Bankman-Fried is trying to get access back to his funds at FTX and back to all of FTX's funds. We're going to talk about that along with an interesting theory coming from a large investor in crypto on who actually was behind FTX. And they think it's not Sam Bankman-Fried that was the evil mastermind. So we're going to go through all that. Stay through to the end. Also, there are links to moomoo and Webull underneath the video in case you want to deposit $100 on the platforms. You can get some free stocks, up to 15 free stocks on the platforms. So definitely check out both those links if you haven't gotten one of them. I would just suggest trying them out and getting that free money. Now, we have a massive week for earnings, probably the biggest week by far in terms of earnings. We have AMD, UPS, Snap, Pfizer, Caterpillar, McDonald's, Spotify, so many big companies on Tuesday. But then we start to get to some of the retail favorites over on Thursday, and of course we have a lot on Wednesday too. Wealth management, Meta, Peloton, Aflac, Altria, T-Mobile. On Thursday though, we have Amazon, Apple, Alphabet. Starbucks too, if you want to go into some of the other ones, Ford. But three of the largest tech companies in the world announcing on Thursday. So this is a huge week for earnings, and I think the important thing is going to be the outlook moving forward, because right now we know a lot of these big tech companies are laying off engineers, they're laying off workers, and they're going to have higher profit margins a couple quarters down the line. But the question is, how much demand is there for their products? How much are they still growing? What kind of margins are we looking at? So there's going to be a lot of excitement and a lot of volatility on Thursday, especially considering the fact that we have the FOMC meeting and Jerome Powell speaking on Wednesday. The market is pricing in a 98.4% chance that we go 25 basis points. They're even pricing in a 1.6% chance that we have 0 rate hikes this month. Now, that changed a little bit just a few days ago. We saw a 1.4% chance that they're going to do 50 basis points. Now there's 1.6% that we won't have any. So that is changing a little bit, but it's most likely going to be 25 basis points. A lot of people think that this is going to be near the top. And the reason for that is because they have a lot of debt, a lot of interest payments on their debt right now. Last year in 2022, they had about $853 million in interest payments, which is huge. And this is only going up because rates are going up. For example, last year, as I said, $853 billion in interest payments on $31 trillion in debt. But now this is more than the defense budget of 2023. And if the Fed continues to increase rates, they will be looking at $1.2 trillion or $1.5 trillion on interest paid on the debt. And the government only collects about $4.9 trillion in taxes. So you're looking at 25% of all your tax revenue going just to interest payments, and those are totally adjustable. The Fed could go and cut rates and then decrease the interest payments by $1 trillion+ a year. A lot of companies are laying off workers as well. We saw Dow rolling out layoffs, 5% of their company, Dow Chemical, and this is a huge company, obviously, but we've already seen so many other tech companies specifically lay off workers. And the market's starting to price in this switch. They don't think the Fed can continue to raise rates. Now, Jerome Powell said that they're going to continue to raise rates and continue to raise until they see substantial decreases in inflation and something that they think can sustain at a low level. They don't want to put too much money into the market and then have inflation come right back and then have it be even uglier than before. So I think they'll probably raise a little bit more than people expect. We're already higher than a lot of people expected a couple months ago or 6 months ago. But the market, again, is pricing in this switch. I mean, the NASDAQ's up 12% so far this year. This is just the overall NASDAQ. This is not like cherry picking Tesla or something like that, which is up 70%. And crypto's up a lot too. Bitcoin's up 42% year to date, Ethereum 34%, some are up 150% like Solana. The market is ready for the Fed to switch. And Bitcoin's doing well right now too. Bitcoin's pressing up against this glass ceiling that we've seen. It's at 23,630. I think there's just a lot of pent up excitement, I mean, we're still below the 200-week moving average. So we have about $1,000 or so to make up to that 200-week moving average. I would expect some kind of rejection, some consolidation around that point. Some people think we're going to blow right through 25,000 and get up to 30,000 maybe by the end of the month. I've seen those predictions as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw over 25,000 in the next week, but I would expect us to kind of get rejected by that 200-week, consolidate, and then move back above it. I do think we're going into at least a short period of really bullish momentum, a really bullish period, as you can see from the last couple weeks. We've just been making these massive moves with massive amounts of shorts liquidated, and I think a lot of people have had to cover. They've closed out their short positions because they see the momentum in the market. I mean, this looks very bullish. Consolidation for a week plus, and then another move to the upside. And some cryptos are doing really well right now. If we look at the last 24 hours, gaming cryptos are making a little bit of a move. GMX, Decentraland, Mina, Osmosis, the Sandbox, Phantom's making another big move. We had, I think Gala was in here earlier. So there's still a lot of excitement in crypto, and not all the ones I named here were gaming cryptos, but you can start to see the money move around from Bitcoin to layer ones like Phantom, Polygon, now to some of these smaller cryptos. Now, I don't think that this is like a massive cycle of an altcoin season. I think it's just as time goes on, they're seeing some developments, and good news is actually pushing up cryptos now. I know, crazy to hear that because the last year we've had good news, and we've had bad news too, but we've had good news that led to no price action. Now we're starting to see some of these cryptos actually moving because of good news and partnerships and things like that. Now, moving over to clown news. Sam Bankman-Fried seeks to access FTX funds. His lawyers are now claiming that he was not involved in previous unauthorized transactions and should have access to the company assets. A letter from Sam Bankman-Fried's lawyer to the United States District Court Judge Lewis Kaplan stated that Sam Bankman-Fried should have access to assets held by FTX, claiming the client was not involved in the previous unauthorized transactions. Lawyers say that nearly 3 weeks have passed since the initial pretrial conference, and we assume that the government's investigation has confirmed what Sam Bankman-Fried said all along, namely that he did not have access and did not transfer these assets. They also say, given the sole basis advance for seeking that condition has not been supported, we believe that the bail condition imposed at the conference should be removed. Now, this all seems like a joke to me. I mean, the fact that they're saying that their client, who's CEO of the corporation, that's admitted to knowing several pieces of fraud about the company, they're claiming that he never made the transfers, so he should not have bail. He should also have access to funds that he committed fraud on. I think that's just insane. Obviously, we're still waiting to hear back from the court here or the judge, but I would expect this to be shut down. It's insane to me how highly Sam Bankman-Fried thinks of himself, that they're even pushing for this, but still, it's just amazing to hear. Now, I want to move on because in Crypto Banter's recent video, Mark Yusko actually talked about why he doesn't think Sam Bankman-Fried is the brains behind FTX. Let's just have a listen here.
You said that this SBF thing was much bigger than we think. You alluded to the fact that he was just the front man, and this is actually...
He's a useful idiot. Look up the term useful idiot tonight, and you'll understand. He's a useful idiot.
Be more descriptive. So you're saying there were bigger people.
I believe, and it's just my belief. And some of it's rooted in fact. I believe that a much larger group that does not want crypto to survive and thrive. Look, there are too many weird things, right? This company didn't exist 6 years ago. Did not exist. And it became the second largest, on paper, because it actually wasn't real, second largest crypto exchange in the world. Tell me where the original money came from to start the company. The company was started a week after Biden gets into office. The largest contributor to Biden's campaign was Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried's mother is a large Tornado Cash operator. That's not actually Tornado Cash, but basically what she does is the equivalent of Tornado Cash. She scrubs political campaign contributions so the venture capitalists can get around campaign finance laws. That's what she does. The dad, went to Yale with all the, glitterati in DC as an advisor to three-letter agencies. Taught Peter Thiel, gave him the deal on, right? So and here's the thing, in the old days, if I wanted to bribe somebody, in the old days, yeah, exactly. I'm going to take it down. The black hats are going to show up. So look, I would meet Mooch at the park, and I'd have my backpack, and I'd put it on the bench, and I'd walk away, and he'd be like, Mark, you left your backpack. And I'd just keep walking, and he looks in the backpack, and it's full of cash. Just like, oh, okay. No way to trace that. No way to trace that. But here's the thing. If the government sends money on chain to the Ukrainian government, who then sends it to FTX, who then sends it to Alameda, who then puts it in a shell company. Here's a stat that is hard to believe. There are 400-ish companies in the Alameda portfolio, 400. 200 of them, let's let that number sink in, 200 of them were shell companies owned solely by SBF.
Wow, this is a huge
definition of money laundering.
So you're basically saying that he wanted to wreck the crypto market by imploding. Okay,
correct.
Did he do that? Did he wreck the market?
What he did is he set us back, right? It's inevitable that we
win. But he didn't. He set us back. He set us back. I think he set us forward. And I'll tell you why I think he set us forward. We suffered for 2 months. The price 2 months after the FTX collapse is above the FTX price. I'll tell you why he set us forward, because he's put us much closer to getting the regulation that we need to make this industry a bona fide industry. So I think you want to talk about a setback. I know a lot of people lost a lot of money. I know a lot of people still have their money stuck in FTX. But in terms of price, too much.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about price, Rand. What I'm talking about is, again, and again, it wasn't Sam. It was not Sam. And it wasn't Caroline. Oh, God, it was not Caroline. Whew, not Caroline.
Yeah.
Caroline's dad was a certain person's boss. That certain person, with no experience, became the head of a three-letter agency. Okay? It's interesting. Interesting how that happens. Now, here's the thing. If $1 billion leaves banks and goes into crypto, no one cares. I describe it like this. 2009 to 15 was the first they ignore you phase. A bunch of nerds and geeks playing with their magic internet money. Who gives a shit? No care. Then they laugh at you. 2016 to 21. God, look at those nerds and geeks playing with their magic internet money. A bunch of idiots. 2022 to 27. Then they fight you. Now, the cool thing is the last part of that is then you win. But I will argue we've already won. If you're here, if you're in crypto, you've already won. Because it's so inevitable that everything in the world will run on blockchains, and it will be the power. We will all be self-sovereign. We will all. But the banks, $1 billion leaves, they don't care. $10 billion leaves, they don't care. $50 billion leaves, they care. Where's it going? Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi. Who did they attack? Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi. Now you can say Celsius, idiots because they had the token. Okay, Voyager, idiots because they had the token. BlockFi had no token, by the way. Then you have, FTX token.
So what Mark is pointing at is the fact that Caroline Ellison's dad has worked with Gary Gensler before. Obviously, Gary and Sam Bankman-Fried talked a lot. Some banks were losing deposits, and maybe there was some conspiracy that the government made to kind of slow crypto's adoption. Let me know your thoughts on that underneath the video. I would not put it past them, the U.S. government, but let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.